You're listening to NFT365, the first daily podcast on NFTs with your host, Fanzo.
What's up, friends? Welcome back to another episode of NFT365. And, part of the beauty about doing a podcast, every single day is I get to really play with the format, the structure, the topics, even, the target audience. And some days we're talking, as collectors, some days we're talking as creators of our own NFT projects. Some of it is, what roles we can play in other projects, right? I'm so bullish on the fact that if we are all going to, consider ourselves owners of these NFTs, we also have to recognize that as owners that we have a certain, responsibility on what role we play. And like just waiting around until, the original founders of the project do something, to me, that's not owners. We're just then, followers. We're just customers, transactions, just like everyone else. And, it's been, I'm a big fan of celebrating milestones. Most of you know, I love numbers, right? We launched on 11/11, 21, where our 365 is 11/11/22. My hockey number was 93, so I often give away 93 ADHD coin. We launched our NFTs on 12/12/21. We rolled out our next phase of our utility on 1/11/22. And then I also, I'm just a big believer in that we don't celebrate our wins enough. And I know for some people, they're like, wait a second, we don't need more of a culture and people bragging about all of their things. And we have enough bragging in the bro culture, but there's a big difference between bragging and celebrating your wins. And I always like to caveat that in the sense that if you're bragging, you're talking about me, this is what I did. If you're celebrating your wins and sharing your success, then what you're doing is you're explaining to people what you've done to get to where you're at now so that they can learn with you, but they can also celebrate because they can see what was put in to accomplish what you've accomplished, right? It's like, sometimes with award ceremonies, we could even think about it from the Oscars or the Grammys or, any of those big awards. Sometimes it's like, oh, wow, it's celebrities, patting other celebrities in the back. But there's also an element of the people that are celebrities, they also know what it takes to, be a great actor or actress, or for someone to win a Grammy, what it takes for them to be at the top of their game and the amount of work in the studio and all of these other factors. And so the other piece of this that I hear way too often is people will say, Brian, I don't want to, be that person in my circle because I know that my friends, and I'm going to put friends in air quotes, I know that my friends, I'm going to make my friends mad if they just see me, they see me posting about my wins or my success. And here's the truth. Are those people really your friends if they aren't happy for you being happy, for you succeeding? Now, I know it's very hard in today's day and age to often feel that way. And anyone who knows me knows that I know for in my core, I get more joy out of seeing my friends, my families, the listeners succeed and win than I even do my own self. And I actually know that's not actually very healthy on my own side of the fence, right? I know that can be a little bit of a problem because I need to be able to accept, the success that I have. And I also need to not rely on other people, winning for it to bring me joy. But it truly does, right? When a friend gets a speaking gig or someone's podcast, another podcast here, like the NFT for Newbies podcast, when, they hit 1 million downloads and I was literally so happy for them. And I know that it can kind of come across a little bit as is he really happy? Or is that like just his way of like, kind of being like the backhanded, like, oh, congrats on your 1 million downloads, like, oh, what did they do to get that? They must have paid for them. They must have manipulated the numbers. No, that's not what goes in my mind. And I think, this is that abundance mindset that, we often hear in personal development. But I think in this space, in the NFT Web3 arena, one of the things that we just have to own is that there are big ups and big downs. And there are going to be people that shove their bags in your face. And then there's going to be others that are going to be surprised the crap out of you when you realize that they've been making amazing strides, and they have amazing bag, and they have all this success that they've kind of been able to accomplish. And I think that's actually part of what I love about Web3 is that like you truly have no idea who are like the players versus who are like the fake, who are the those that are actually making shit happen, and who are those that are just faking shit, right? And there's like a blurred line there, and it can be a little bit worrisome if that the blurred line exists, but at the same time, it's kind of something beautiful. And I remember before we launched this podcast, we were in New York City, and we were getting to know a couple people that we had met. We met them at the bar the one night after I think day one of the event. And we were talking and sharing about like different, projects. And I will tell you that, through the conversation, in no way, shape, or form did I expect to learn that this person had multiple Bored Apes, that they've consulted on multiple very successful NFT projects, that they have been all in on crypto for a long while. And it kind of blew my mind. Now, I know what you're thinking. You might be thinking like, well, Brian, like, isn't that the beauty of people not celebrating their wins, is that you get to find out like that they're successful later on? Nope. I think the beauty is that like what we wear, what we look like, the color of our skin, sexual orientation, the amount of followers we have, none of that is like a direct metric that says, wow, this person is successful. Trust me, I know a ton of people with 500,000 followers on Twitter that have never made a penny off of social media in their business. They have not figured out how to monetize. And then I have other friends that have 2,000 followers on Twitter, and they've monetized their audience and following to make millions of dollars. So like, let's like separate those worlds. But one of the things that I think, we have to look at is in our community, in our ways, is like, how can we celebrate our success ourselves, but also how do we amplify others' success? Like I will tell you, like one of the things for me that I like really think about in the sense of like, how do we get more great people into this community? I know other people kind of look at it and say like, how do we get mass adoption? Like mass adoption means we get a lot of crappy people into this space. We get a lot of people that are, faking it to make it. They're Ponzi schemes. They like to bully people. They like to threaten people. We don't need more of them in this space. So like mass adoption has never been my goal or my focus. I actually think of it from a standpoint of like, how do we start to like bring in more people that we believe are really good for this space? Like how do we get more beeples into the space, right? How do we get more people that are just artists that have been kicking ass for a long period of time, and then they finally get the reward that they need? And here's the truth of how I think we make that happen is we have to amplify the great stories more than we talk about the bad stories or the negative stuff. And, I've given TikTok, NFT and crypto TikTok creators a lot of crap on this podcast. And I think partially that's the reason, is that a lot of the creators, they love to talk about the negative, like, oh my goodness, the market crashed, the rug pulls that exist. Or they like to talk about this project's is the next blue chip. You need to double down and get in. But I think the funny thing about that is we don't spend the same amount of time talking about like the great project that is that launched in December that took a while, was a slow burn, that took a while to mint out, and then slowly they've been adding utility, and they had some ups and downs, and they had an issue with their artists, but they embraced that. They changed their leadership structure. They brought on a council of people to help them. They have a community DAO. They went back to the original artist that was kind of scammed out of their project and brought them into the fold, and they're now embracing new art and new change. Like, we forget to celebrate like those successes, but like we will talk about the other side mint fail that Yuga Labs did, or we will talk about Azuki founder pretty much screwing himself over by being transparent and admitting that he was behind a couple rug pull projects that he believes like helped him be a better success, but really he stole a lot of people's ETH to do that. We would rather focus on those things than the other things. And so part of what I look at, I look at this podcast, we record this on video. Every episode's on video. For those that don't know, this is on YouTube as well. So if you'd rather watch, on YouTube, I know a lot of people consume on YouTube. You can just, search NFT365 over there on YouTube, and you can check out the podcast there as well. And you'll see my studio, and you'll notice, and this is something that I think just a little bit of context is like, sometimes I'm standing up, sometimes I'm sitting down at my desk. Sometimes, like at the moment, I'm lounged back in my chair. I got my feet up on my bar stool. I was actually just doing a couple videos for a client, so I'm actually wearing my custom hot pink Osiris shoes that I don't wear very often outside the house or outside the stage. Because I just don't want to get them messed up, because they are like my favorite kicks, and that's how I'm recording this episode. And I will tell you, like, here's like the magic sauce that I look at for a lot of this. For me, the magic sauce, in a way, is setting myself up for success each and every time I press the damn button. So depending on like the mood, the vibe, the energy, how I'm feeling, and what I hope you are feeling by listening to an episode, that's how I change up how I'm going to approach a podcast episode. And if we think about that, that is also things that we have to think about for, NFT projects, for community growth. Like, there are a lot of people that you build a Discord that you're just copying other Discords that you've found that are successful. But is that Discord structure set up so that your moderators are set up for the best success for them? Like, what is their style? What is your owners of your NFTs style of bringing a lot of those things to light? And then the other part of this is, how do we celebrate each other and amplify each other and make that a thing? Because here's the truth. I've believed for a long time, since I launched the ADHD coin, that part of the success that I needed to have happen was I needed other creators that have coins to be very successful. Now that sounds a little counterintuitive maybe, right? You're like, wait a second, Brian, aren't you like competing? Well, first of all, no, I don't look at us as competitors. But what I realized a long time ago is that if I have success as an early adopter, there's a lot of people in my network, and probably some of you that are listening now, that in the past you were like, oh, that's just Fanzo being Fanzo. He's the early adopter. He's going to try new things, push new limits, do some of those things. But that's not what everyone can do. And that's just, Brian's the exception to the rule. And I love being a unicorn, by the way. Like, I am proudly a unicorn in many ways. I had to learn that I just had to own the fact that not everyone can do things the way that I do them, because there's only one of me, right? And but I say all of that because what I realized was I need other people that look or act like the people that are in my network to have success, so that it adds validation to what I'm doing. Like, how crazy is this? Is like, think about this from an NFT project perspective. What are some of your favorite NFT projects? I'm sure everyone has some of their favorite NFT projects. Well, wouldn't you like your friends and like your family or other people in your like IRL Web 2 life to also be in that project? The problem is, if it's coming from you only, there's like a tendency to be like, oh, well, that's not for me. I'm not really into that. But if all of a sudden people that they considered that were more aligned with their mission or their values or the way that they do things were also in that same project, all of a sudden the narrative starts to change. The way that we look at these projects, the way we look at success changes. And ultimately what I think this all comes down to is something that I wrote about, for my book, for Press the Damn Button. I wrote about this, I don't even know, 2014. And it's that I believe relatability is the future of marketing. Our ability to relate with people allows us to market. Now, that doesn't mean you have to market from like a business perspective, but it's how we talk about our things that we're doing, right? Like we trust people that we can relate to. It's why influencer marketing works. Influencer marketing works because the people that are influencers, we trust them more than we trust the brand or the celebrity, right? Like I've talked about this a lot. Like just because Matthew McConaughey drives a Lincoln doesn't mean that I feel like I need to buy a Lincoln. Because let's face it, I don't think Matthew McConaughey, all right, has a lot of things in common with me. Is he a single dad, that's 40 years old, that's trying to co-parent and navigate this world of 3 daughters and the currently a Jeep Wrangler owner? Or is there people that are parents, that maybe are a dad or a mom, people that are in a similar scenario than me, when they're talking about their favorite car or the vehicle that they drive or what they're doing, who am I going to listen to? Matthew McConaughey? All right. Or someone that I know understands my pain points, understands what I'm going through. And so I will just kind of put this out there, is that when we look at like the future of NFTs, the future of NFT marketing, the future of like celebrating our wins, amplifying each other, these are all the things that we must do in good times and in bad. We must celebrate each other. We must amplify the success stories more than the rug pulls. We must go out of our way to cheer on those that are innovating, because guess what? When we don't do that, it's discouraging for those people, but it doesn't inspire others to think differently or go outside the box or find success. Like this is like a pet peeve of mine, right? Like if you want a certain type of NFT projects to succeed, you should be the champion for them all the time, no matter what, even if you're holding them or not holding them. And like for me, that's part of this game, right? Like I want every NFT podcast to kick ass right now. Because the more NFT podcast success, the more people that are listening to podcasts that are in this space, the more people that are then searching for other podcasts, or they might hear me as a guest on that podcast, or they might invite their friends in and their friends are like, hey, I know you love that NFT365, but that guy like talks too fast and he's kind of ADHD all over the place. I don't really like him, but I found another podcast called Freedom for NFTs by Lauren Turton, which, shout out to Lauren. She's a past guest of the podcast here on NFT365. And so I hope, let's find ways that we can be more relatable, that we celebrate each other. We celebrate others in our communities. We celebrate those that are innovating, those that are thought leaders. And lastly, I make this joke on Twitter pretty much like once a week, that it costs zero gas, zero transaction fees. You don't need a Coinbase exchange and you don't need a wallet, a MetaMask wallet, a Rainbow wallet, or you don't need any of Phantom wallet. You don't need any of those things to retweet, to like, to share, to share this podcast in your Instagram stories, to post about your favorite episode on LinkedIn. Guess what? All of that is free. You don't pay gas fees. All of that is free, and it's amazing how far that will go. So I'll leave you with this: is that I believe so much of my success, and I believe so much of the success of the things that I've been involved in the last 10 plus years comes down to this simple idea of show you care. If we show that we care about others and what other people are doing more than what most people care about them, we will stand out. We will be the ones that make a difference. And let's face it, the bar for caring is pretty damn low right now. And so I challenge everyone. Go out of your way to let people know that you care about them, that you appreciate them. The next time you're in a Twitter space and someone says something that is amazing, DM them and say, thank you so much for sharing what you shared in that space. It meant a lot to me. Not because you want to eventually get on their podcast or you're hoping that they'll get you on a whitelist, but because you actually care. And I really will tell you, the more we care for each other, the more we care for those that are doing the things that we want to be doing or that we want to see more of, the more we will lift each other up. And this podcast has been built on that simple principle since day one. We are greater than me. I truly do believe that together we are going to make the world a better place. Together we can care. Together we can celebrate. Together we can be more relatable, more vulnerable, more open, more transparent, more trusting, more really united. But we all have to do our part, and each small thing that we do matters. Imagine if every listener, this is your call to action, friends, if every listener in the next 24 hours just let one person in the NFT space know that they care about, you care about what they've shared, and what they've shared has made an impact on you. Let's all do that. Let's all take that as our initiative. Just let and don't make it me. I love all of you, but I'm not doing this about me. But I want you to reach out to one person in the next 24 hours and just say, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for talking about this project. Thank you for being a moderator in my favorite NFT project. Thank you for always being in Twitter spaces and standing up for women. Thank you for being whatever that may be. I don't care what it is, but reach out to someone and just thank them in the next 24 hours for the impact that they've made on you in this NFT space. I'm going to guarantee the next 24 hours are going to feel pretty good in this space, and we're going to make a bigger impact than the floor prices going up or all of a sudden us getting into a ridiculous bull run. As always, my friends, my name is Brian Fanzo. I'm a digital futurist, a keynote speaker, a proud girl dad. I am ADHD superpowered, and I am not only a proud host of this podcast, but I'm an optimist and a believer that together we're going to make this world a better place, and together we're going to spend time understanding that life is short and that sharing the love and caring about others is where the magic happens. Until tomorrow, my friends, make it a great day. Cheers.